Yeah. Yeah, that's good. We will just be having our usual, our usual traditional thing that we need to do before you speak. So just
All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, members of the Rotary Club. We will now commence our May 24 joint meeting with RC Makati Business District. Welcome, ladies out there, gentlemen. All right. May we request our president to do the honors?
Okay, so in behalf of the Rotary Club of Makati, I call this meeting to order.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your days are numbered.
Yay! Okay. In behalf of Rotary Club of Makati Business District, this meeting is in order.
Thank you, President Rachel. Maybe I call now, before I call the invitor, I would just like to welcome everyone formally. Today's meeting is, I think, going to be a cozy one because our guest speaker is not only a cousin of Governor Sid, a cousin-in-law of P.E. Michael Escaler, and a great buddy of ours, especially from Ateneo because he's a last alive. All right, so that as an introduction, invocator, please, invocation. Let's all stand.
Okay, thank you, Tito Pipi Tito. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Let us all feel the presence of our Creator as we invite all the angels and saints to surround us this afternoon. Dear God Almighty, may your goodness and love be present amongst us today. Come, bless our joint meeting with unity, hope, vision, as we wholeheartedly practice the Rotary Code of Conduct. We pray for unity and inner strength within ourselves, as a family, as a community, as a nation. Build in us all a deep respect for one another. We pray for hope. Come, stir your hope within our hearts and renew our faith. Lord, we pray for vision. May your vision fill our lives as we seek to reveal your love. As you renew our lives mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, as you renew our souls, you keep us whole in your divine and loving light forever. Amen.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, please keep standing as we sing our national anthem. Who's leading us in our Reggie? And now, our Makati Rotary hymn. Please.
We're the Rotary Club of Makati, and together we stand proud. We are leaders with integrity, always ready to serve humanity, always living by the four-way test, building goodwill and peace along the way, giving hope to the world. We're the Rotary Club of Makati, prepared to aid our fellow men, as through Rotarians we live to lead. We believe in service above self, and this is why we succeed. We're the Rotary Club of Makati, and together we stand proud. We are leaders with integrity, always ready to serve humanity, always living by the four-way test, building goodwill and peace along the way, giving hope to the world. We're the Rotary Club of Makati, giving hope to the world. The Rotary Club of Makati.
All right, may we request our four-way test, four-way test invocator for that. Who's giving it to us? Four-way test. If there's no one, I'll just do the honors. So may we just be reminded of our four-way tests in the way we maintain ourselves, our lives. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it be good? Will it bring goodwill and truth to mankind? And please, can somebody read that last one? I cannot. Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you. Okay. Let me go into this lively portion of our meeting when we greet our birthday celebrants. Birthday celebrants, can somebody provide me the list? Okay. Boy Arteche, May 27. Eric Lee, May 27. Happy birthday. Rotary Ann Grace Liano, May 25. And wedding anniversaries, Tony and Irene Tan, May 28. May and Johnny, also May 28. And Eleanor Tan, Johnny and Eleanor Tan, May 30. So happy birthday and blessed anniversaries to all our fellow Rotarians and aunts. Also in order here is for me to welcome our dignitaries and special guests. Of course, we're led by our PDG, our beloved PDG Sid Garcia. And our aunts here present, we have Mache Ackerman. Mache, please. Am I missing any other? And all right. Life-changing presidents. Do we have life-changing? Let Malapad. Is Let here? No. Brax Bracamonte. Online. Brax is here. Hi, Brax. Welcome. Lisa Tuason, RC Taguig, One Global. Hello, welcome, Lisa. And then our guest today is Excellency Ambassador of Switzerland, Alan Gashen. Alan, did I pronounce it correctly? Gashen? In this list is, of course, the better half of our guest speaker, but I don't see her. Bambina. Also, your son is in this list. Gabi, I don't see Gabi also. All right. They're on Zoom. All right, they're on Zoom. Welcome, Bambina, Gabi. Neil Makasyar, incoming member, also on Zoom. PP Megs Lun, RC Metro Calibo, Babes Guevara, Rotarian K. Sopelana, RC Taguig, Marinette Perez, guest of Mashe Ackerman, is Marinette here? Marinette? Did I get it correctly? It's Marinette or Marinette? Marinette, okay. The spelling here lacks an A. All right, welcome. Linda Chai. Linda, is Linda here? Are we expecting Linda? And then, oh, we're supposed to have Bert and Baby Manlapit. I don't see Bert and Baby Manlapit. Probably on Zoom also. So welcome. Can we now sing our welcome song? Right? None today? Okay, no welcome song today. Perhaps I would also add a belated congratulations to the UP Fighting Maroons, led by our President Louis Asioche. And I see Reggie Nolido around, and Reggie is also a Fighting Maroon. I have to congratulate this memorable event because they not only are champions after 36 years, but on the way, they slashed LaSalle and Ateneo. They victimized both LaSalle and Ateneo. All right, so congratulations again. That was a well-deserved victory. If there's no other item here now, I'd like to call on our President, President Louis, for his valuable President's time.
Thank you, Past President Tito. So welcome to our Daughter Club series of joint meetings as we enter the penultimate month of my term as president. As the moderator said a while ago, my days are numbered. Today, our daughter club, RCM Business District, will be jointly hosting this meeting today with the Development Bank of the Philippines President and CEO, Manny Herbosa, as our guest speaker. Thank you, Manny, for obliging us with your time, and to past District Governor Sid Garcia for making this possible. If you see me beaming from ear to ear and sporting smiles lately, it's because I just have at least over a month to stay as president, or exactly 39 days to go before the end of Rotary year. Every past president in this club know whereof I speak. You should see my wife, First Aunt Tess. Her ear-to-ear grin extends way back to her head, at the back of her head. She really wants, she's looking forward to me doffing my president's hat and turning it over to President-elect Mike Escalera. And speaking of the Rotary year, the incoming board led by PE Mike is now in the midst of preparations for this year of service, for their year of service. Last Saturday, 4 of our incoming club and district leaders attended the district assembly at the SMX Convention Center in Pasay. Past President nominee designate Keith Harrison, who will become President nominee next year and will serve as President in 2023 to 2024. Incoming Membership Director Porsche Peña, incoming Assistant Governor IPP Peter Manzano, and past President Reggie Nolido, who will again continue to serve as Deputy District Rotary Foundation Chair for Training and Stewardship next year. Thank you, gentlemen, for giving your time last Saturday. And this coming weekend, I don't know if it's supposed to be PE Mike who's going to announce it, but this coming weekend, the incoming board of PE Mike will hold its planning session in Punta Fuego, in Batangas, to draw up the action plans for the new Rotary year. It will be an exciting Rotary year under PE Mike. And I would like to thank in advance the couples who have agreed to host the participants in their homes. That's led by P.E. Michael and Papat Escaler, past District Governor Sid and Tessia Garcia, and past President Tito and Brin Panlilio. Thank you. Thank you for hosting us this coming weekend. Last week, we conducted the penultimate board meeting for the Rotary year. Allow me to share with you some of the key board resolutions which were passed. We have approved the membership of 3 new members, Neil Macashar, who is with us online, Attorney Stephen Javier, and Ambassador Alan Gastian. Thank you, Your Excellency, for obliging us with your presence again, the second time for this meeting. Upon their induction, we will have gained a net of 5 in our membership, which is the club's highest for the past 10+ years, and a feat we should take pride in. We actually were able to bring in 9 new members this year, but we lost 4, so that led to a net gain of 5 only. So for a club who has very rigorous standards of admission, the gross number of 9 would be an achievement indeed. Likewise, under the areas of focus projects, we approved to build our 3rd school dormitory, this time in Luzon, after the first one in Sumilao, Bukidnon in Mindanao, and the second at La Libertad in Negros Oriental in the Visayas region. We have a budget of 1.5 million for this dorm project. Also approved was the support for the nutrition program for malnourished children of Caritas Manila, chaired by Father Anton Pascual, with a 500,000 donation. And the maintenance of our air quality and monitoring system, or AQMS project, with a funding of 380,000 for the purchase of locally manufactured air quality monitoring systems from the University of the Philippines. And lastly, if you see our hardworking staff out there also smiling, that's because we have approved their year-end bonus this Rotary year. It's a fitting reward for performing consistently this Rotary year, and we trust that these incentives we give to our staff regularly will encourage them to maintain their exemplary performance, not only for the next Rotary year under PE Mike, but in many years to come. And next week's meeting, lastly, finally, next week's meeting on Tuesday, May 31, will be a special one for 3 reasons. One, it is a joint meeting with our daughter club, the very first club we sponsored, the RC Makati West. They are our firstborn daughter club. And second, and I think Peter Cuyuto will like this, it will be held in a new venue. It will be at the Dusit Thani Hotel. So it will be our very first meeting outside of our clubhouse with RC Makati West. And thirdly, we will have Manolo Quezon as our guest speaker, he of the illustrious Quezon name, whose opinions and insights are highly sought after and respected. Manolo Quezon was invited by past President Carlo Rufino. Kindly confirm your attendance so we can register and reserve seats for you at the Dusit Thani Hotel. VP Carlo will help me produce at least a minimum of 20 attendees from our club for that joint meeting with Makati West at the Dusit. So thank you very much.
Okay. I just wanted to comment on the first portion of his sharing. He said, Tess is very happy that his term is ending. I can only say, President Louis, are you complaining or are you bragging? Both. All right. And now, for more business in our meeting, I'd like to call on PDG Sid to introduce Rachel. I'm sorry, I missed your name here. Please, President Rachel, for your president's time.
Good afternoon, everyone. I truly agree with Tito. I also thought I'm not giving president's time, but now I have to. So just like Louis, I'm also looking so forward to ending our year. So I probably join Tess in celebrating, or Keith maybe. So let me just acknowledge JT De Vega, who is our guest from RC Dasma, and also our PN, Amy Cragen. And again, our incoming member, Maritet. Okay, so welcome again, please. Right. For this May, our last project is actually with our mother club, RCM Makati, and we went to San Narciso, Zambales, Barangay Omaya, to distribute dentures for seniors. So next week is actually the actual distribution, and we are going to be making a lot of seniors happy because they will finally have a sweet smile again. So thank you, RCM, for that opportunity. We also want to thank everyone who attended the birthday book launch of our CP Mache on May 11 at Okada, May 11 in Okada. And now we are very busy preparing for our conference in Houston. Let me just take this opportunity to thank everyone for a meaningful and fun Rotary year, especially from my club and the huge support that we are getting from our mother club, RC Makati. I would particularly want to thank our partners in service for the Visions in Actions grant, in particular with Charter President Machet Torres Ackerman's Foundation. And yeah, that's it for me for now. And we are very excited for another fun and meaningful year for next year. And I think you will see more of me for next year because our incoming president, Ilac Diaz, will not be back in the Philippines in time. So please don't be disappointed to see more of me again for this coming Rotary year. Thank you very much.
In fact, Rachel, don't say just 1 year, next year, because after that, with Keith, you'll be a permanent fixture in this club's meetings and our events. Welcome in advance, Rachel. All right, our guest speaker is, I think, not a stranger to all of us. In fact, I can introduce him without even using a código. But for that, I will ask his favorite cousin, PDG Sid, to introduce our guest speaker. PDG.
Thank you, Past President Tito. friends in Rotary, the Rotary Club of Makati members, and the Rotary Club of Makati Business District. A pleasant good afternoon. We are honored to have as our guest speaker, Emmanuel Herbosa, the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Development Bank of the Philippines. Prior to his appointment with DBP, he was President of the Philippine Guarantee Corporation. He also served for more than 4 decades in various leadership capacities as with the Bank of the Philippine Islands and Bank of Commerce. Manny, as he is often called by friends, was also recently awarded Outstanding CEO in the recently concluded Association of Development Financing Institutions in Asia and Pacific, which was held in Manila last November. The Outstanding CEO Award which he received was given to a practicing Chief Executive Officer whose policy decisions and singular leadership, vision, and achievement have made a wide-ranging impact in his institution, as well as in the development of the banking sector here in the country. Congratulations for that award, Manny. As you know, Manny is now heading the 5th largest bank in the country in terms of assets, and it provides credit support to 4 strategic sectors in the economy, namely infrastructure and logistics, micro and small and medium enterprises, the environment and social services, and community development, which Rotary is very much involved in. A green-blooded Lasalite, a green-blooded Lasalite, he graduated from De La Salle University with a bachelor's degree in industrial engineering. He also obtained his master's in business administration from Wharton School University. Manny is a second cousin, as already announced. My mother, Rosalinda Guidote, and his mother, Aida Guidote, are first cousins. Always wearing a cheerful smile, he is well liked and loved by every member of our family. Over the years, I have learned to grow in admiration for him, most especially for his outstanding views, for his outspoken views on political and social issues, and of course, for his never say die in support for his alma mater, De La Salle. Animo La Salle. Manny is a devoted husband to Bambina de Leon, and they have 2 children, namely Gabriel, Raphael, and Rachel. They're active with the St. James Parish Renewal Program in Alabama. His father, the late Francisco, we call him Tito Paquito, but he has a pen name called Mang Kiko, Rizal Herbosa, is a prominent dentist and a former dean of the College of Dentistry of the University of the East for over 20 years. During his days, he was also a Rotarian, an active member of the Rotary Club of University District in 3810. In fact, he became its president in 1973-74. The Herbosa clan, of which Manny belongs, is a direct descendant of our national hero, Dr. Jose P. Rizal. It is said that their family still has with them the desk where Jose Rizal wrote the book Noli Me Tangere. My fellow Rotarians, let us welcome Emmanuel Herbosa.
Thank you for that kind introduction, which I expect from my Atenean cousin, Sid. Has no choice, but really good to be among friends here. Thank you also for the invitation, President Louis, President Rachel, Machi for the invocation. Of course, a good friend, Tito here, and many of you. distinguished Rotarians from the Rotary Club of Makati, and I think there are a few other clubs listening in. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Thank you for this invitation to share with you our accomplishments at the Development Bank of the Philippines, specifically under the administration of our outgoing president, Rodrigo Duterte. When my cousin and your past district governor, Sid Garcia, invited me for this talk, I had barely assumed office. So this must be 4 years in the making. That was in March 2019. While I had some good ideas, these were all promises that could ring hollow. And I figured I would much rather await the time when there would be more to share from actual experiences and some achievements. Rotary is, after all, composed of esteemed industrialists and respected business leaders, and I wish to make better use of your time, of this platform, by imparting legacies and not just empty promises and motherhood statements. And in 2019, did we ever expect COVID-19? That black swan event wrought devastation, but ushered a great period of opportunity for DBP's unprecedented growth. From a fledgling 10th placer, we achieved our place as the 5th largest bank in 2021, with a total asset of 1 trillion pesos. Now, this sets the tone of my message by quoting Charles Dickens in his classic masterpiece, A Tale of Two Cities. And I quote, "It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief. It was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of hope. It was the season of darkness. It was the spring of light. It was the winter of despair." I was bestowed the stewardship of leading a now 75-year-old institution. It has been 75 years since President Manuel Rojas established the predecessor of DBP, the Rehabilitation Finance Corporation, 1947. The bank was born as the country was struggling to recover from the shattering aftermath of World War II. It was, as Charles Dickens put it, the worst of times. Today feels like a deja vu of the difficult times faced by the country as the economy struggles from the challenges of the pandemic, leaving countless businesses that are reaching out for financial assistance. Would I say that my previous 38 years in private sector banking prepared me for development banking? Perhaps, but it was an early transformation that gave me the necessary focus and deeper understanding of the intrinsic nature of development banking. Only a few months in my post at the helm of DBP, I was on a project visit at Causwagan, Lanao del Norte, where I happened to meet up with then peace advisor and now our vaccine czar, Carlito Galvez Jr. During that visit, Secretary Galvez asked me to tag along on his secret mission to meet with the renegade MILF leader, Haji Abdullah Makapaar, also known as Commander Bravo. This meeting took place at the MILF's Camp Bilal in the hinterlands of Lanao del Sur, a stronghold of the MILF. Camp Bilal is one of 6 camps identified for transformation into a productive agricultural area under the flagship comprehensive agreement on the Bangsamoro of the national government. That meetup, where we discussed how to open up economic opportunities for residents in the area, was definitely a moment of transformation, a conversion experience, if you will. I set aside my usual corporate banker persona, went to the mountains with Secretary Galvez, and had the chance to hear firsthand about their concerns. At the same time, I was also given the opportunity to convey how sincere and committed we are in DBP with regard to inclusive growth, which can never be achieved if there remains among us those for whom the chips are down. I would say that this has then become my special advocacy since joining DBP, to bring as many of our brothers and sisters in Mindanao into the mainstream of the development process to transform the worst of times into the best of times. As you may probably be aware, while Mindanao is the second largest island in the country with a population of more than 25 million, it also accounts for 40% of the total poor families in the entire country. Mindanao would not have earned the nickname Land of Promise if it were not. Allow me now to share with you some of the ongoing initiatives in the region, all of which are designed to address current challenges, including low agriculture, productivity, lack of access of production areas to processing centers, lack of access to water supply for drinking and irrigation, and other support services, among others. The end goal here is to help foster sustained peace and prosperity for our brothers in Mindanao. In 2021, we introduced the Mindanao Development Assistance Financing Program. This is a collaboration with the Mindanao Development Authority, or MINDA, and the DILG to implement projects aimed at providing potable drinking water to waterless communities in Mindanao, especially in indigenous peoples communities, the IPs. We would also want to provide irrigation water for agricultural activities. In my last visit to Mindanao, I was excited to see our project for the solar-powered irrigation and water supply at the municipality of Tarata, Lanao del Sur, take fruit just outside Marawi. This will improve the productivity of up to 500 hectares of farmland and provide clean water by establishing a water district in the 26 barangays that are currently unserved by water systems and yet astride Lake Lanao. DBP is also committed to provide 1.2 billion to help jumpstart the Mindanao Bamboo Industry Development Program, which is intended to protect watersheds while providing sustainable livelihood to farmers, particularly capacitating the IPs and remote communities. We'd like to take a crack at the global bamboo market that is estimated to grow to about $99 billion by 2026. And this requires a well-thought-out holistic program that can balance both business and environmental considerations. As discussed with former MINDA Chairman Emmanuel Peñol, the initial goal is to set up a processing facility in each of the 8 bamboo cluster sites that have been identified and are located in major river basins. Each of these pilot bamboo areas is targeted to cover at least 1,000 hectares. Over the next 10 years, the program aims to have 1 million hectares of bamboo sites with complementary infrastructure such as roads and processing facilities, as well as a marketing program for various bamboo products that we can export. The bamboo program is part of MINDA's Green Mindanao project, which also promotes the development of high-value fruit farms and harvestable tree species across the southern mainland, particularly in what is now denuded mountain areas. DBP and MINDA have also agreed to launch a program which aims to establish bank branches and automated teller machines in key cities and towns of the Bangsamoro region. This follows the successful installation of 3 ATMs in the compound of the Matling Industrial Commercial Corporation, one of Mindanao's oldest agro-industrial companies, and in the towns of, maybe you've never heard, Malabang and Balabagan. We did this in early December 2020. The big picture here is to link more cities and towns in the barn to the banking system. Providing 24/7 electronic banking services is a key towards enhancing financial inclusion in the region. And this brings us to the prospect of VSAT, or Very Small Aperture Terminal Technology, which I'm sure you're familiar with, a satellite communication system that allows for faster and more efficient connectivity requirements. We are sparing no effort to bring Mindanao to the mainstream of development. Last year, we supported the Al-Amana Islamic Investment Bank of the Philippines, our wholly owned subsidiary, in a roadshow that we considered an opportunity for all of us to further navigate the challenges and opportunities for Islamic or Sharia banking in our country. The only Islamic bank in the country, Al-Amana is a universal bank and is thus allowed to act as an investment house under its charter. It can engage in allied undertakings and can be a conduit bank for financial assistance, grants, and contributions from other Islamic countries. For this reason, we had earlier this month conducted a virtual pre-bidding conference in relation to the selling of DBP's Al-Amana shares. Said pre-bidding conference was organized for potential equity investors and strategic partners to support Al-Amana's roadmap to rehabilitation, sustainability, and growth. DBP will go all out in fully tapping the prospects of Islamic finance, as we are also paving, while this happens, the way for a DBP ATM, piggybacking program, bolstering further our efforts for financial inclusion through DBP's 261 ATMs in that area. While bringing much needed assistance to further develop Mindanao has become my special advocacy as the President and CEO of DBP, that doesn't diminish the importance of the other regions in our country. From stories of progress in Mindanao, let me now take you to the province of Isabela in Cagayan Valley, our rice basket, where DBP implemented a program that supports the achievement of the nation's food security goals by providing accessible, low-interest financing to rice farmers and rice farmer-owned cooperatives for their working capital requirements and needed equipment or new technology to increase farm output. Said program, as you may know, is the expanded Rice Credit Assistance Program under the Rice Competitiveness Enhancement Fund, or the RCEF. And as a proof of concept for the financing approach under the program, DBP approved a 500 million loan to the Nagkakaisang Magsasaka ng Isabela Agri-Cooperative, or NMIC, a wholly owned farmer cooperative that purchases palay from its own members, mostly marginalized farmers. The palay are sold at a premium price during periods when palay prices are very low. Aside from providing guaranteed income to its farmer members, now totaling 10,000, and with a higher farm gate price, this approach also set the benchmark price, which created needed competition among palay traders. As reported by the Cooperative Development Authority, or CDA, in 2019, NMIC bought the palay products of its members at a rate that is 5 pesos higher than the prevailing market price. Co-op members were allowed to sell up to a maximum of 80 bags, which weighs 50 kilos per bag. And this scheme provided farmer members an additional 20,000 pesos income per cropping season. Hauling cost is also no longer a cause for concern for the farmer members, with a proactive collaboration of different LGUs with the provincial government of Isabela for the transport of their products. This approach allows the farmer members of NMIC to be self-sustaining, as the farmer members also end up buying what they produce. This sustainable livelihood farming model empowers not only the farmer members, but their whole community, their families as well. In addition, the pilot implementation of this program in Isabela demonstrated the successful synergy between the private and the public sector. DBP partnered with the provincial government of Isabela, as I mentioned, for the needed government support for capacity building, social preparation, in other words, education, and establishing linkages from rice production support to the off-takers. DBP also tapped Paymaya, a fintech company, to provide an easy and convenient financial distribution product to the farmer members of NMIC. A proof of concept that fintech is not necessarily a disruptor of banking, but can be an enabler of it. The program showcases DBP's innovative and holistic approach to agri-lending through value chain financing, and that aims to improve the overall productivity of the entire rice value chain. This approach recognizes the different players in the value chain and provides tailor-fit financing models to meet the varied financing requirements of these players. ERCA RCF is truly a proof of concept in sustainable financing, and I'm also very proud to share with all of you that ERCA RCF was awarded for advancing financial inclusion by the Association of Development Financing Institutions in Asia and the Pacific, or ADPIA, as Sid mentioned earlier in his introduction. As we have always said, local government units, or LGUs, are a natural part of DBP's ecosystem, with our complementary objective of ensuring that development interventions redound to the benefit of as many individuals in communities. And just recently, we have further expanded our thrust for this sector by looking beyond our menu of lending programs. To assist in capital market development, we are working closely with the Department of Finance and state regulators in establishing an LGU credit rating system, or scorecard, to mainstream bond flotations in the future as a sustainable financing option for local development projects that will reduce the burden of NG budgetary consideration. The proposed rating system would provide the capital bonds market with credible risk indicators of individual LGU bonds. Through this envisioned credit rating, the LGUs would be able to diversify fund sources, which would be based on needs, revenue earning capacity, and financial maturity. Lastly, on the environmental sustainability front, DBP has recently secured the approval as an accredited entity of the United Nations Green Climate Fund, or GCF, which was created to provide financing and technical support to developing countries to shift to low emission and climate resilient development, while helping vulnerable societies adapt to the inevitable impacts of climate change. This further cements DBP's position as a bank for the environment, as we play an active role in encouraging clients and participating finance institutions to include green consideration in their businesses and trust. We envision GCF as an additional source of highly concessional loans or even grants of as much as $250 million per project to expand the reach and to scale up DBP's environmental and climate-related programs and advocacies. And I am pleased to share with you the good news that DBP is now looking at 6 environmental projects for possible financing under our GCF accreditation. I will just mention one, and this is called the People Survival Fund, or PSF Plus, which aims to augment the earlier PSF's 1 billion fund with grant fund. PSF was created by virtue of Republic Act 10174 to incentivize and finance local government units and communities to proactively plan their own climate actions. The sustainability of PSF Plus is anchored on the success of compelling projects. By avoiding loss of lives, properties, and livelihoods, the resulting financial savings can help local governments and communities allocate funds towards maintenance of current climate change measures and implementing stronger additional interventions. Showcasing projects that are able to sustain themselves are after the grant support from either or both PSF would also move the government to allot more towards the PSF's current floor funding of $20 million of up to 1 billion pesos. This is also in pursuit of the Philippines' commitment during the United Nations Climate Change Conference of Parties, or COP26, for which our country, through Secretary Carlos Dominguez, was soundly applauded. COP26 was touted as humanity's last and best chance to keep global temperature rise under control. Secretary Dominguez placed the emphasis in the national government's sustainable financial roadmap that sets the guiding principles that create the environment for greener policies and energy transition mechanism facility in order to fund the early retirement of coal-fired power plants and replace them with renewable energy alternatives. One of the achievements of COP26 was the forging of an agreement by countries to curb methane emissions, halt and reverse forest loss, and align the finance sector with net zero carbon by 2050. This in turn creates demand for low carbon and carbon sequestration projects, as well as trading of resultant carbon emissions reduction or carbon offsets. DBP is now exploring the establishment of a climate data registry and platform similar with Singapore's Carbon Impact X, or CIX, to harness carbon credit potentials of climate mitigation projects implemented as supported by the banks such as renewable energy, energy efficiency, and reforestation, which we do a lot through our DBP forest program. CIX is a global exchange for voluntary carbon credits headquartered in Singapore, jointly established by the Development Bank of Singapore, Singapore Exchange, Standard Charter, and Temasek. Financing green projects has always been at the core of DBP's DNA as a responsible corporate citizen. In 2020, we were cited at the Karlsruhe Sustainable Finance Awards for funding a solar-powered resilient community in Santo Tomas, Batangas. It was a humbling feat for DBP to be recognized for supporting a residential community project that uses concrete panels that offer less carbon footprint, a 100-year lifespan, and ensures faster construction. The project also integrates solar solutions that reduce carbon dioxide emissions while providing electricity cost savings for around 30% compared to the electricity consumption of conventional houses. We envision all of these initiatives as a unique achievement, not only for DBP, but for the country as a whole, and could create a big and lasting impact for the incoming administration. All these accomplishments are all instrumental in DBP's current position as the fifth largest bank in the country in terms of assets. In 2020, our economy bore the heavy brunt of the pandemic as our economic growth fell to negative 9.6%. The unemployment rate reached 17.6%, with a total household wage and income loss of around 1.04 trillion pesos. However, 2020 also saw DBP joining the elite ranks of trillion peso banks in the country. And as of the third quarter of 2021, DBP's total assets grew to 1.2 trillion pesos from 762 billion in 2019. We continue to grow. As can be gleaned from the track record that DBP has established over the short 3 years, it's clear to see that despite being battle-scarred and battle-weary from all the trials and tribulations faced by the bank and the nation, one can almost predict how it will be for DBP in the years to come. Battle-hardened and ever battle-ready to face the challenges that will come its way. While 2022 is a milestone year for DBP with the celebration of our 75th anniversary, it is likewise a year of significant changes, especially with the recently concluded national elections. We are confident that we have been doing for the past years have helped build a strong organization. And we will continue to keep our focus and carry on with the same intensity and commitment that we have been giving. This way, we can ensure that the bricks we have laid are strong and the institution's foundation is stable. Changes are inevitable, and we welcome the changes that will be introduced by the incoming president. We will continue to work hand in hand with the new administration and be the national government's dedicated partner towards building a better life for our country. Amid all the changes, nothing will deter us from hitting our targets and fulfilling our mission as long as we keep our faith in DBP and stay rooted to our core values of integrity, excellence, teamwork, service to others, and love for the Filipino. In the thick of all these changes, these values will remain non-negotiable for this institution to remain strong, resilient, and relevant. Our stakeholders may rest assured that we shall not depart from our strategic task of influencing and accelerating sustainable economic growth through the provision of resources for the continued well-being of the Filipino people. As we have expanded in scope, evolved in operations, and diversified our products and services, our sights are kept focused on our reason for being. And this is to be at the helm of the country's march towards progress by bringing more and more people into the mainstream of the development process. I am grateful for this opportunity to finally share this with all of you today. All this, I believe, are no longer hollow promises or mere motherhood statements. These are now actual experiences and solid achievements worth sharing with the remarkable members of the Rotary Club. I will always hold the Rotary in high esteem and fond memory, as my father, Paquito, used to be an active member of the University District, Cesar. Such fond recollection of my father working with a network of advocates and movers of united and participatory action will always be a reminder for me to be untiring also in my efforts as I lead DBP to deliver on the greater good. I never got to join Rotary, but being with DBP got me to know what Rotary is all about. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times, as eloquently put by Charles Dickens. Like any other organization, DBP has gone through the best and the worst of times. We, however, believe that each bad time has brought out the best in DBP. Our institution's 75-year history shows that recovery and rehabilitation are familiar territories for DBP. The pivotal role that DBP played in post-war rehabilitation in the 1940s and restoring distressed industries to health in the 1980s show that it is in the DNA of DBP to provide the impetus for the growth, empowerment, and resilience of key economic sectors, whatever the circumstances. We did, I think, the best in the worst of times. Thus, our epiphany that the worst times experienced by our institution are also our best times. Whether the tides sail us to the best of times or the worst of times, what remains is the legacy that will be left behind both by the Rotary and DBP, which is progress and development that can be felt across all sectors of our society. I hope that this occasion will open doors of partnership and cooperation between our institutions to fulfill our vision of achieving both sustainable and inclusive growth nationwide. Together, our resolve to lay more and more bricks of progress for the Filipino people will help us create lasting change for all of us and the future generation. Having said all of this, I think I have a short video to regale you for the rest of this moment. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and I wish all of you a good day. It's a privilege to be here.
our guest speaker has done it all. The only thing left is please sign him up as a Rotary Club of Makati member. In fact, reviewing that film, that audiovisual ABP that was shared with us, I can almost see it to be a Rotary ABP. Okay, anyway, it was such a powerful and convincing speech. I do wish, President Manny, that we could again invite you to a Rotary Club meeting, but for the district, because I think your speech is not meant for only around 50 people to hear, but many, much more business people in the Rotary world has to hear what you have shared with us today. And so I segue now to a Q&A session with President Manny. Manny, you can take the mic from there. So do we hear questions from the floor?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, sige. I'll break the ice. Congratulations, Mr. Herbosa, for the 75th year of BP and for bringing DBP to greater heights during your term. I have a couple of questions, if you don't mind. My first question is, what happened to the merger between Land Bank and the DBP? Because I understand that during the term of President Pinoy, it was approved under EO 198 only for President Duterte to have it stopped in 2016. And my second question is, the DBP was embroiled in suspicions of dispensing behest loans in the past. In fact, some of its officers were charged with by then Ombudsman Conchita Carpio Morales. So what happened to those cases, if you still know, and did those cases have any effect when you endeavored to restore the faith or trust in DBP during your tenure?
Thank you, President Louie. Just call me Manny. You know, actually, I'm really fortunate because I get to head DBP on its 75th year, which is really my favorite number in school. You know, that's my favorite grade, 75. Pasa, okay na, okay na.
Okay na para sa Wharton.
Okay. Well, the merger with Land Bank, which is now also joined already with UCPB, is still open. I think the executive order was not rescinded, so it's still an open item. But Secretary Dominguez during his term said that's better that we have two distinct banks. One would be mostly on consumer, and that I think led to his wisdom, led to the acquisition of the UCPB, and that they will keep DBP as an infrastructure bank. So I think our growth, I guess you would appreciate it more when you go to the 1 trillion league. All right, all of these banks like BPI, Metro Bank, BDO, even Land Bank, they have what you call their subsidiary savings bank. So actually you're talking of two banks, di ba? Like BPI just absorbed the family bank because there was no strategic benefit anymore because reserve requirements have been equalized. So I'm proud that at our size, we don't have a consumer bank. So that's how steady and stable this would be. So we're not so sure now how the incoming DOF president would look into this, but it's still an open item. And that's going to be a mega bank because Land Bank is now number 2 behind BDO, and beneath Land Bank number 3 is Metro Bank and BPI, and then we're actually contesting number 5 with PNB. Our friend Rick Veloso's name's also been floated around, right? So on the behest loans, we had to, thank God when I took over, that was already been resolved. I think we took a hit. These were all fully provided for. And I guess the cases are in various stages of prosecution right now. But we're in the clear as far as those are concerned. So we just hope that those ugly days don't come back anymore. But suffice to say that we have very strong credit evaluation standards that are in place right now. Okay, and that's why I'm talking about the LGU credit rating, because we would like to expand that to the LGUs so that the LGUs can stand on their own feet, right? We're scoring them, you know, whether they're AAA or bottom C, right? And the best way for competition is show them, and it also improves governance. And the rewards are they really don't need to depend too much, as I mentioned, on the national government budget. They can go to the capital markets directly, and DBP can help the financial advisor for that one. So these are big things that we hope that could happen, but it's in the works. All right. When people ask me about, you know, all of these things continuing, and if I really should be there, I said, you know, I'd like to quote from scripture. He who began the good work in us will see to its completion. So I'm indispensable. We do the good work, we put in place faith in God, all of these things will stand the test of times. Thank you.
Can we hear from Junjun? Junjun, President Junjun, question?
I think so. I have not actually asked about that, Junjun. You know, I'd rather not hear about it. But we did learn enough to be able to put the safeguards about that. You know, well, you know, we do have our challenges from time to time. You know, when I was new, Secretary Dominguez asked me, how would you keep those guys at bay? So I said, well, after all the nice talk and all of that, I tell them, you know, maraming magagaling mag-present, no? Verbal and all of that, they come to the office. So I would tell them, you know what? I said, I'm a senior citizen, so my memory is challenged. So please put it in an email. What we had discussed, what we had discussed is great. I said, but please put it in an email. And guess what? Less than 20% send me an email. So I think that was a pretty good screening process. And Secretary Dominguez said, hey, that's a very basic way of filtering out you know, those kinds.
Well, if I may interject, President Manny, and the question of Junjun, one of them has died, so he's already exonerated. One of those major guys in the case that I think, the cases that I think President Lou is referring to. One died the last 2 years.
Yeah, you got it, Tito. That's right. Yeah.
All right, Keith, we'll hear from you.
I think, yes. You talked about the credit rating for LGUs. Firstly, I'm a bit new in the country, but what is the credit rating for Development Bank of the Philippines? And secondly, is your intention with credit rating LGUs to then try and build up a municipal bond market in the Philippines? And
Yes, that's the idea. That's been talked about. But what happened was under the BAP, there was the LGU Credit Corporation, Keith, that failed. You know, the irony of it, BAP has a credit rating, a credit corporation granting out loans that failed. So that happened in 2019. So I requested the BAP if DBP can acquire the LGU credit rating system for us to improve on. That will lead to the assessment, if you will, rating of the LGUs and let them compete among themselves. And so the best rated can hopefully directly raise funds from the capital markets. So, you know, I think the LGU should really have something really to look forward to, because their internal revenue allocation, as you know, have really increased. And what more, if in about a year or two, DBP can be the financial advisor that gives them access to the capital markets, I think, which is really the dream of Secretary Dominguez. Because I think he instituted a game changer, which is the REIT. The REIT has been talked about for more than 10 years, and he was able to actualize this to his credit. And that, I think, spurred the capital markets development.
Okay, thank you. Cesar, please.
You may have known that we have a law, Republic Act 11-285, that says that building owners are to use renewable energy to reduce the oil importation of the country. And I think there is a need to give incentive, and perhaps the bank can consider, especially for ordinary household, it will mean about 200,000 to 300,000, and with an ROI of 4 or 5 years. So perhaps you should consider a special rate for them, because the Republic Act did not mention any incentive. And if you will recall, the Japanese government have put up a lot of incentive and have closed many of these coal plants and one nuclear plant, because many of them were given incentive to use solar panel on their houses. So I think that's one area perhaps DBP can look at it and help the country.
Yes. Thank you. I think I mentioned in my speech one of our award-winning projects, which is this is a economic low-cost subdivision that has panels in the design of the homes.
I think that's Imperial.
That's
Emma
Imperial. And then
including batteries.
that's right. No, they don't have batteries yet. What we're doing right now is trying to develop alternative energy storage, because lithium has already skyrocketed. So we're looking at kinetic energy, and we've already funded that business, which also could be export potential for us.
I think it is the lithium-ion batteries that should be used. The ordinary batteries is useless.
That's true.
So
But
this is another area. By putting a battery, the whole thing will cost double.
Yeah.
So that is something that the bank can perhaps consider.
Yes, yes. At saka ang lithium ngayon, that's geopolitics. You know, China has probably 70% access. The US wants an
Russia.
alternative. Kaya nga eh. So that's why we're looking into this kinetic energy, which will compete with the lithium, make the battery, the cost of the battery or storage much less. So we have a lot of exposure to economic social housing. And that's where we see how the country is developing. Right now it's going through Bataan, Zambales, all the way up. And of course, in the Visayas as well. And we are continuing to encourage solar roofing, solar panels, as you have seen. But we've started with the farms, diba? So we cannot go retail mahirap but we can go through community building or subdivisions. And that's hopefully we get a lot of that, so we can have an easier math with which that we can work on the carbon registry. Yeah, you know, mahirap ang measurement yan. That's why we're asking our partner, the Development Bank of Singapore, that's known all of this. So someday soon, then we'll be able to exchange our carbon savings for monetary.
Cesar, VAT exempt. Renewable energies, VAT exempt. That's one of the benefits. Okay, since Roland sequestered the mic, you have the honor of asking the next question.
Actually, Manny, I'm just sharing, no? Recently, I bought solar battery lights and I tested it in the house. I like to give the good news. It works because I don't know why the solar is facing the sun from morning to afternoon, no? And then it's 200 watts per light, and it's all automatic. So it's able to storage it for the day only. And at night, automatically, because of the sensor, it just lights up. So I try to observe. It turns off at about 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, which is good, no? But sometimes when it was cloudy in the recent few days, it lasted up to 3 o'clock or so. So, but each light with the solar power is only 2,000 pesos. Imagine no more electricity after that. So it works. Thank you.
Okay, since the mic is in this side, you don't mind, Bimbo, we'll ask Louis to favor us with this
Hi, Manny.
question.
From your vantage point as president of DBP, how do you assess the financial health of our commercial banks in view of the pandemic, the 2 years that we have been going through with 9% drop in the economic growth? How do you assess the financial health?
Actually, think about it, it's like 16.5% throughout the lockdown. No, our banks are in good shape. Are in good shape. Actually, it's DBP who's not really in good shape. I mean, let me qualify. Because of the higher risk that development banking has to deal with, and heavy lifting of the economy, we had to restructure not only companies but part of industries, right? So our risk rating is actually quite high. So by BSP rules, I have to add more provisioning. So if you look at our bottom line, it's not going to be very good. But then I guess it's good enough because we're in the development banking. We take on a lot more risk than the private sector bank. So in a roundabout way, Louis, then I would, I'm assuring you that the private sector banks in a very good shape. What I usually taunt them because kinakantsuhan ko sila because I was telling them that you're in good shape because we're getting a lot of the loans that you're hesitant lending to. So that's how the balance sheet is. Somebody's got to take those risks, and we're taking them, and very happy that I think we're going to be out of the. Well, we're not really in the woods, but I think we will show better profit performance. But I would argue with Secretary Dominguez. I said we really should be a break-even situation. We should produce enough income to afford our talent, our manpower, and all the incidentals, right? That we should not be competing because we're not anyway listed. Our only shareholder is national government, the DOF, to which we are attached. It's different perspective, di ba? Kasi gaya ng US Exim Bank. US Exim Bank is arguably the best insurance that we have. But it's been recapitalized by the US government every other 3 or 4 years.
So DBP is not yet the lender of last resort.
BSP still.
DBP not yet. Bimbo.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Manny, considering, I think you know this, that the agricultural sector is really the key to all the progress we have. But I think we've had so many programs before, Masagana 99, so many, everything has failed. Now, you are allocating a substantial part of your portfolio to support the agri-development. But it's a retail business. Do you have the organization, or how will you implement that into the ground level? Because I think that has been the failure in the past. It was the rural banks that were not able to run it well. Then everybody had to write off so many of those loans. But I think, for example, now there's this fund from the tariff from the rice opening up of the rice market. So are you going to be the implementer of that, or how is that going to be flowed back? Because all the rice farmers are crying that they're all dying, but supposed to be they'll be feeding them with the funds that were generated from the taxes and the tariffs collected. But what is DBP part of that thing that will empower them?
Yeah, well, I mentioned earlier, no, if it's the ayuda, the subsidies that come from the RCF, then that's why I mentioned Paymaya as part of our distribution network, because we have very limited branches, so we're not too much into the brick and mortar. So we're engaging fintech, and that's worked very, very well. But that's just the distribution of the subsidy. What I mentioned earlier, I think is a successful proof of concept. Kasi whole scale, you're right. We don't have the resources or the wherewithal to go retail for every farmer. So the vision with the NMIC na nagkakaisang magsasaka, the wholly owned farmer cooperative in Isabela, that's whole scale. That one is owned, as I said, by 10,000 farmers. The farmers own that cooperative. It's professionally managed by the LGU, the province of Isabela. So we're confident, very confident with that, with the way they're managing it. So Bimbo, we lend up to them, to the cooperative, $500 million, and you'd be surprised. You know, that's a showcase. And Mechempo, good timing that there was a failed rice milling operation of about almost 1.5 hectares, complete warehousing, fully cemented. So we gave them the money to take that over. So in effect, you've got a pretty good processing there, because they also have their palay dryers. Kasi the cheating, as you know, is in the water. It's the moisture, di ba? The trader will tell you, you know, you've got too much moisture. So we'll take your palay and take this rate and we'll dry it for you. This time, those farmers, because they're part of that cooperative, now have their own dryer, and eventually we'll give them the silos. So the silos will also enable them to ride the supply and demand curve. So that's our strategy. So, and what about the rural bank participation? Now that they see, as we had said, that we're adding to 20,000 pesos income per crop cycle, then they can see that the 10,000 farmers here, and hopefully elsewhere in the Philippines, are sustainable. So we're engaging the rural banks now to lend directly to the farmers. Because now, Bimbo, they can see that they're making money. They have income that can help them with their own individual loans from the rural banks. We're not taking over the rural banks because the rural banks know their clients. Diba? They're there, so they should know the credits better than us. So we're in the wholesale. All right. So the 10,000 will now be able to become credible, no, or creditworthy to borrow from the rural banks. Because otherwise, the rural banks will just lend the teachers.
So, President Manny, there's a rediscounting line. You've opened the rediscounting line for the rural banks. Similar to what BSP used to do.
Not necessarily. We're just telling the rural banks, diba, to lend to the farmers that are part of the cooperative. Kasi kita na yung pera. So, diba, the rural banks can just go direct to them without our having a rediscounting line. Though, of course, we're open for that facility.
Yeah. Okay, there's a question there. First, Rodrigo will have this staff side.
Hi, Sir Manny. Good afternoon. I am Doc Kay Supelana. I've been a local government consultant for the past 17 years in the Philippines. We currently have a water plant facility in Zamboanga, Sibugay, and we're actually working with your bank. Yes, because DBP is the only bank that really has a water facility. Not other banks have it. My question is, we're trying to cater clean water to 5 barangays in Zamboanga, Sibugay. The existing water plant is privately built, means we set our own investors. So kami po talaga ang nagpatayo. So there's still no local government intervention to this day. But what we're trying to do is to help the 5 barangays. Alam niyo naman po, Zamboanga, Sibugay, we have our MINF brothers there. So my question is there such program that's not just based on the provincial level and to the municipal level, meron na rin po ba tayong program for the barangay level, para sa barangay level under economic enterprise? Hindi na po dadaan sa provincial level, hindi po. We're not currently working with the water district because they also have their own programs. We built the water plant mainly in one municipio para po to cater on the other barangays that they can't cater. So since they are not funded, wala po silang pera, meron na po ba tayong facility to help the barangays now to get in partner with the private sector like us, like us, that they can actually loan the pipeline para po magkatubig sila. We're trying to target to create an economic enterprise in the barangay level, which we don't know if a DBP is already catering it now. Meron na po ba or wala pa rin?
No, it's possible. We can do
Possible
it.
pa sa
Yeah,
barangay
yes,
level.
yes,
Ay, very
definitely.
good.
Because, these are the LGUs.
Opo.
No matter how small the LGU is, municipality, they have some internal revenue allocation, right?
Yes.
So actually, we need a little bit of equity. It's usually 70-30, and then we can fund the rest. But if that's really expanding some kind of a water district or just putting up water should be our top priority right now, because I'm told that only 1% of the world's water anytime is potable, just 1%. And you don't want the glaciers melting, di ba, to have more drinking water. But definitely that's in our trust for the financial inclusion.
As we all know, the barangay era is not quite as
Right,
manageable
yes.
and
Right.
as big as the
But-
municipal level and the provincial level.
But if you are the private sector catalyst,
Kami
we
naman po.
we
Yes
can
po.
look at you.
Okay. Okay.
President Manny, may I interject?
Yes, sir.
We in the Rotary Club of Makati we have a club. We have a 3H project on water.
Yeah.
We get global grants from the Rotary International. So probably we can work with you
Yes.
in your project.
Sorry, because Sir Manny, to be honest with you, the water plant that we built in Zamboanga, Sibugay has been ready for distribution for the past 2 years. Actually, it's solar powered, it's environmentally clean. Talagang nandun na po talaga yung water plant. Inabutan lang po talaga ng pandemic. And that's also one reason why we had a delay working with DBP because of the pandemic. Our objective is to try to cut down the cost of operation in the water industry. Most of the investors in this project are just local Filipinos, small business individuals. The project is about 80 million. But the problem of my barangays now is just mainly the pipeline. Ibig sabihin, from the water plant, we're looking at about 7 to 10 kilometers to reach the first 5 barangays. So kung pwede sana, hindi na muna dumaan sa, not to go through any private distribution companies anymore, to cut down the cost of the water, yun talaga yung goal namin. So since you're telling me now that we can actually work with DBP on that level, not looking at the era of the barangay level, because I don't think we both know they're not going to qualify, because they have such a very small amount for their era. So yun lang. And if Rotary would love to work with us, then why not? Kasi existing na po. The project is right there. It's ready for distribution. And we're just looking for really good individuals and good institutions to actually help us serve the water, clean water to these barangays.
Okay, we'll talk. We'll talk.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
We are in Buog. Are you familiar with the town of Buog?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I've been closely working, Region 9, 10, 11 has always been my area. I have to compliment your bamboo project. We started that in Laguna. I know some of the agriculturists who brought the technology in the Philippines. I was just telling Press Lisa for our club that I think it would be nice if Rotary would even consider being agriculturally based, that some of the industries in agriculture is actually sustainable. So I was trying to introduce a program to her that maybe Rotary can come in, because there is so much high value club that would actually also help sustain the club itself. parang small PPP po that maybe Rotary would welcome later on. Thank you po. Thank you.
Going to your situation, we had a similar one in Tagbilaran. If you recall that, we did the run of the river. But that was from high elevation, di ba? But it's similar to that. We provided a pipeline for the distribution. This is a richly water company. You know, we were approached by the owner of this high-end Eskaya, si Richard Lim, yung kapatid ni June Lim. He said he was so frustrated because his resorts and the other resorts there are nice, but their bed sheets are turning yellow, bimbo. So sabi niya, I've got to get hold of this water. So we discussed that project. It's running already. So pretty similar to what you have, and we've already expanded this. Well, it'll be great for Rotary to really help out there. That's an out.
Yeah.
Will be,
We have an institutionalized program for it.
Yeah, yes, I would really love that.
And,
Actually, Sir Manny, Zamboanga Sibugay is the center province in Region 9. Actually, if Neil Makashar is listening, I know Neil Makashar because Kuya, the former Governor James Makashar is like a brother who's the father of Neil. So we're actually from the same region. He's like family to us. I've been working in these areas all the way to Cotabato. I've worked with Chairman Murad, and we're looking into these water projects now. Ang problem lang talaga namin, and I hope that DBP can also help us, is of course the insurgent areas, which sometimes would have about 500 to 800 families that sometimes nahihirapan po kami na i-welcome ng DBP kasi nga sa sobrang liit lang ng taker ng water. So I think to model the first 5 barangays, with you guys, I've been in your main office. I've spoken to the head of the water facility department. So meron kaming account officer, but I think the review of our documents is in Davao branch yata for some reason. Pero ito sir, based on what your speech earlier, as I said, really inspired me because all these projects in Mindanao, I've been monitoring with Minda. Talagang finally, I can say after 17 years, nakita ko na talagang binigyan nyo na talaga ng pansin. Thank you because we really need it in Mindanao. Thank you. Hats up talaga ako doon. Because we're really having a problem from our rubber industry, from our cacao industry, all the way to our coconut industry. And now that I heard it from the President himself that it's actually part of your roadmap now, maraming salamat po talaga kasi matagal na po talaga namin inaantayan sa Mindanao. Thank you po talaga.
Okay. You know, sayang lang talaga eh. I don't know why Emmanuel Simani Piñol ran for the Senate. Eh. He had a fixed term in Minda. And I was telling him, don't run for Senate. We're going to do a lot more here. So, well, we know what we're going to do. We're banking on our huge forest program. We have a lot of forests, trees and all of that. The vision right now is to harness the coconut plantations that usually involves the IPs. So magkakaroon sila ng livelihood. And if there is a manufacturing facility, when we have about 2 or 3 of this, that will use the coconut as raw material. And this particular facility produces oleochemicals that is for export. And that's in Naga. Okay, Jose Panganiban. It's a faraway barangay, and that's very sustainable. So we're gonna measure the carbon savings from such plantations. So it's there. It's quite exciting.
Okay, thank you. Well, this is the last question we have. Rodrigo, please.
Yeah, Manny, you were talking about Islamic banking. Islamic banking is supporting a lot of these eco initiatives in Indonesia and other countries. Are you planning to have something like an agreement, government to government, with this Indonesia, for example? We have a member here in the club who is working palm oil in Mindanao. So he has something like 6,000 hectares or something with several communities down there. And apparently in Palawan, And they are working on that, and apparently they are pushing through with this. But this is with money coming from Indonesia as well, as far as I understand. But are you planning to increase this involvement with the Islamic banking, because it's a different type of banking? And how are you doing with that, with this initiative?
We're trying now to attract investors. So we don't mind if we are diluted, because if they're going to bring in the Islamic banking, which we don't know of, they will be very happy for them to take over Al Amana, because it's less bureaucracy they have to go through. It's a ready-made bank. It's got 9 branches. It shares our ATM facilities. So right now we hope that it's just that elections just finished. We hope that we have shortlisted, I think, 2 or 3 very interested investors. So I guess then they could look at financing projects like that one. But we do have financing for palm forestation. Like I think Lionheart. Lionheart is a Danish-led plantation that is quite active in Palawan. That adds to our forest program, and hopefully with our carbon savings strategy as well.
Okay, thank you. A very powerful speech deserves a very lively Q&A, and that's just what we have. Congratulations to all for making this meeting a very, very successful and interesting one. We'll have more of this, we hope. Thank you very much. May I now call on our president, and I will not forget Rachel also to later on give her response. President Louis, would you like to start? Okay, ladies first. President Rachel.
I have to go. Thank you so much. I will. I have the entire program. Yes, I will. I will. So thank you. So thank you.
Thank you for sharing with us that remarkable, inspiring, and exciting achievements and progress of the DBP in the last couple of years, man. It's really, really heartwarming to hear that we're on the right track. My members and I thank you for the time you gave us today to talk about, the excellent work that you have done. And I can only say, please keep on doing what you're doing, supporting the development of our country, our infrastructure, our industries for the betterment and the good of all the people in different backgrounds. Most significantly, including the indigenous people in Mindanao, which happens to be one of the important focus of our club. The projects we do in Usbong Katutubo in Porac, Pampanga. I'm very impressed to learn of the development and support you give to our society, to the greater good of our whole nation. It is my wish that eventually you will also include those with disabilities, my personal advocacy. You being one of an important leaders in building us to a more harmonious, inclusive, and focused society. The project you described of planting bamboo in 1,000 hectares in Mindanao is very close to my heart. I am a believer of the benefits of bamboo for the environment, livelihood, and the economy as a whole. I have made the effort of planting different species of bamboo in our property in Zambales as part of our ecotourism initiative. The green initiative of the bank, Development Bank of the Philippines, is very exciting for me because I'm an environmentalist. So protecting our biodiversity, preserving and conserving is our wish and our dream. I'm looking forward to hear the progress of the projects of the Development Bank of the Philippines. Again, it's so development. That's what our country needs right now. We look forward to hopefully welcoming you back as a speaker again in the future. As a token of appreciation for your time today, I should like to present with you our Rotary Club of Makati Business District mugs, coffee mugs. I'm sure you do drink a lot of coffee. Yeah, and our CP Mache will be there, and I will. So, yeah. Yes, thank you so much. And I just want to mention, I hope she's watching, our past president, Lisa Timbol. I saw her in the video. I saw her in the video you presented. She is the current president of the Rural Bank Association of the Philippines. So hi, Lisa, wherever you are. We're missing you here. So again, Manny, thank you so much. And seriously, we'll have you again in the future. Thank you. And our bamboo. Thank you.
I will now call on President Louis for your response.
So thank you again, PP Tito. So we thank you, Mr. Manny Herbosa, for your report on the DBP's achievements for the past, under the present administration for the past 75 years. A significant part of those accomplishments would be, of course, because of you, your leadership, and your vision. DBP, now the 5th largest bank, was indeed blessed to have you as president and CEO. Motherhood statements, your talk was definitely not. I was particularly taken by the 5 core values that you mentioned in your speech. The values of integrity, excellence, teamwork, service to others, and love for the Filipino. Those core values, you say, ought to remain as non-negotiable, so that the bricks that you have painstakingly laid down during your term will continue to be strong, viable, and stable. But the primary value, Mr. Herbosa, I think among those core values which you mentioned would be the value of integrity. For not only is this value an integral attribute in all financial institutions, but because trust is earned once integrity is established and proven. And your integrity as a leader and that of your team at the DBP may have re-established the DBP as a trusted institution after having weathered several storms, the worst of times, you say, because of suspicions that at one time the DBP was involved in dispensing BS loans in the past. We at Rotary share the core values you mentioned, more so the value of service to others. For service is our mission, and alleviation of poverty is part of our vision. We have actually a sustainable livelihood program through the Feedback Vegetable Backer Planting in partnership with ARC. We also recently held our Hack for Food contest, where we challenged our young IT practitioners to apply their creativity and their ingenuity to help empower the sectors that continue to stand in the margins of Philippine society, our farmers and our fisher folk. We asked them to develop models and applications that would increase their yield or enhance value chain systems to improve their lot. And these are apart from our continuing in traditional projects in feeding and nutrition. PPT also mentioned the 3H water impounding and distribution project, microlending, disaster relief, disease prevention, air quality monitoring, and others. It may also interest you to know that The District 3830 under life-changing Governor Georgie Tan has the Marikina Watershed project that features a bamboo reforestation in Sitio Carugo, Rodriguez Rizal to help abate the flooding in Marikina and the outlying environs. Sir, you issued a call for partnership and cooperation between DBP and our Rotary Club, and we would love that. I and the incoming president, who is not here now, Mike Escalier, along with our co-host club, the RCM Makati Business District, would be very much willing to sit down with you and discuss how Rotary can help the DBP lay more bricks of progress, as you described it, for the Filipino people and help achieve sustainable and inclusive growth nationwide. So for giving us your time, Manny, Mr. Herbosa, please accept our tokens of appreciation. And where are they? For giving us your time, please, we're giving you our 55th edition of our coffee table book. It was recently established and features the milestones of the RC Makati for the last 55 years. It's entitled A Resolute Spirit of Service, Rotary Club of Makati 55. And you can go to the pages of our coffee table book with this fine bottle of wine. That's yours also. And also, we are also giving you this plaque of appreciation, which has an embossed replica of the steel plate that will be on the reef bud that will be planted in the Sea of Narvacan. So this is a major environmental initiative of our club, which is re-enhancing again the marine environment in Ilocos Sur. This was a project of our previous president, in line with Rotary's 7th area of focus, which is protecting the environment. So you see, the Rotary Club of Makati has done its share in protecting and preserving our environment, and just as the DBP as an accredited entity of the United Nations Green Climate Fund. So thank you very much, Manny, and it was really a pleasure hearing you. As you can see, the question answer forum was really repeated. So many questions, and there were some unanswered. There were some questions online that we can no longer accommodate because of lack of time. Thank you very much, sir. Sure.
Just to add, what we've done, to God be the glory.
Well, we have a way of saying that, Lasallian Manny, ad maiorem Dei gloriam. As I said, everything's done except his induction. Please, Rachel.
In behalf of my club, the Rotary Club of Makati Business District, this meeting is adjourned.
And in behalf of the Rotary Club of Makati, I adjourn this meeting. Thank you very much, Manny.